Hello and welcome one and all. This is Old School Gamer 1971 here. Millie, Lloyd, everyone, hope you're all having a great day. If you would, please like and comment. If you haven't already, please subscribe. Support the channel and help it grow. Today's thoughts is on Judgement. I've been playing this game for around 3 hours and this is what I think. Judgement, developed by Ryuga Gotoku Studio. It's an adventure game that came to the PlayStation 4 in 2019. Judgement is a third-person adventure game set in the Yakuza universe. It's the game where the actor who played the protagonist took a lot of cocaine, allegedly. Set in Kamurocho, you play as Takayuki Yagami, a former lawyer turned private detective as he investigates a serial murder case. This does borrow heavily from the Yakuza series, and that is not a bad thing. It is its own story and would say that it's one that has interested me the most. With a solid protagonist, the team that is behind the Yakuza series, what could possibly go wrong? Ryuga Gotoku Studio has been the developer of the Yakuza series since Yakuza 5. Also, Ryuga Gotoku is a Japanese name for the Yakuza series. They were an offspring, so to speak, of CS1 R&D, the original developers of the earlier Yakuza titles. The first game to use the Ryuga Gotoku Studio logo was Binary Domain, released in Japan in 2012. They consider themselves more of a concept or a production line as opposed to the traditional developer. They have worked upon Yakuza titles 5, 0, Kiwami, Kiwami 2 and 6, as well as Judgement, Fist of the North Star, Binary Domain and Super Monkey Ball Banana Blitz HD, and not forgetting the upcoming Yakuza Like a Dragon, which is coming to us in 2020. You play as former attorney Takayuki Yagami, who becomes a private detective in Kamurocho District in 2018. He left his former career in 2015 after someone he represented and successfully defended he got them off, got out and murdered his girlfriend and set his apartment on fire to try and cover his tracks. He investigates with his partner Masaharu Kaito, his ex-Tojo clan Yakuza. After obtaining money from a debt-ridden detective, Yagami goes to see his old employer. There he is offered to help in a murder investigation when a Yakuza captain from the Matsugani clan, Homura, is suspected of stabbing a member of the Kairei clan member to death, then removing his eyes. And so he sets out to prove Homura's innocence, haunted by his past. So is this Judgement a private detective story, or is it judgeless, a dick story?
今ドンキの近くだ。そっちに向かってる。野郎は見えてるか？ああ、見えた。全然気づかれてないな。尾行の腕上げたね。おうよ。我ながら自分の才能が怖え。それは言い過ぎ。
This is the best the Dragon engine has ever looked. Used for the first time in Yakuza 6, Song for Life, here it is new and improved. The city and characters look more detailed and crisper than ever. The neon lights bring the city to life. Seeing the improvements when compared to 6, do not get me wrong, 6 was good. It's just the improvements is evident here. Kamurocho has never looked more alive, and hope that the Dragon engine makes its way to the PlayStation 5 along with Kamurocho. They lock the frame rate at 30 frames per second, even though the remastered 3, 4 and 5 was 60 frames per second. On the upside, however, Kamurocho has never looked more detailed. It is good to see companies pushing their game engines and making the best worlds that they can. Now, if they will only just announce Dead Souls and then I will be happy. Yakuza meets the Undead Apocalypse. As I said earlier about the character models, they are somehow even more detailed. This is fantastic, and the characters seem to show more emotion. I have to admit that this is also thanks to the voiceover, but it is getting ever closer to photorealism, and I will be first in the queue when the first Yakuza drops for the PlayStation 5. The expressions are spot on, even in combat. Even the general public on the streets look better than ever. One of the first things I noticed sound-wise were the street sounds. The streets were buzzing with voices, music from the stores, and the people moving around. This sounds better than it ever has. This helps with the atmosphere and certainly brings Kamurocho to life, making it a living, breathing world. Everyone has a personality, and when you walk the streets, you can hear that. Sometimes it is great to just walk the streets and hear people's stories. Again, I mentioned earlier about the improvements to voiceover, and I mean both the Japanese and the English voiceover. For both, they've employed actors to voice the game over. Before, I had no complaints for the Japanese, many for the English voiceover. This time, however, they've gotten even the English right. However, I will still be using the Japanese voiceover, I just prefer it. The characterization is great in this game, and that is in no small part thanks to the fantastic voiceover. To me, the one thing I need when it comes to combat is it should sound like every blow should take someone's head off. Again, this game has you covered. The moves look fantastic, but it is the fact that they sound fantastic that makes this game something special. Considering the amount of combat there is in this game, it is good that it is memorable and isn't likely to get boring anytime soon. Add to it the soundtrack that plays in the background, somehow 1 minute power chord guitars and the next somber music, yet it all works somehow. Add this all together and you have a solid sound. So you start navigating Kamurocho, and one of the first things you notice, well I noticed anyway, is how smooth the movement is now. It is just so slick. It feels like you have more control. The city is filled with more populace than before. However, moving around is so much better. It just feels easier. The controls just seem tighter than ever before. Considering you cannot just jump into a vehicle and zip around the map, movement has always been so important in these games, and other games could take a leaf out of this game's book. The combat is similar to Yakuza 0 as it has two fighting styles, Crane style, used for fighting multiple assailants, and Tiger style, used for fighting single assailants. Yagami also uses parkour in his fighting styles, both wall running and leapfrogging his opponents. There are many moves for you to unlock. Unlocking has also been overhauled. Before you had to do certain actions to unlock things in different areas. Here it is all in one and allows you the choice of how you will open up these moves. With a great selection of arcade games for you to blow all your money on, spare or otherwise, Komoro of the Dead, House of the Dead kind of game, Fighting Vipers, Space Harrier, yay that's all my money gone, Fantasy Zone, Puyo Puyo, Virtua Fighter 5 Final Showdown and Motorade, all pretty much arcade perfect. Some never were arcade games. Anyway, they're all great fun to play and just one of many reasons to play this game. The Yakuza series has always had great atmosphere. Kiryu's story was fantastic. The one worry I had going into this game was, is the atmosphere going to carry over? I had no need to worry myself. With the characterization as spot on as always and a story to match, I was soon getting the old Yakuza vibes. I maybe would go as far as to say this was looking the best yet. Like Yakuza and Shenmue before it, they get the balance right. Something I really like was getting Yagami's backstory. You can see why he left a profession he was so good at, questioning himself after he represented the killer and thought the man innocent. Questioning his judgment is why he became a private detective. This makes you more invested in the character and certainly adds to the game's overall atmosphere. I've always greatly enjoyed the side missions. They've always been one of my favourite things about the Yakuza series, has been the personal stories about the population of these games. Some make you laugh out loud, some have a sombre approach to them, and some make you think, but all are entertaining in some way. Some are very culturally different to what we are used to. To me, this is one of the things that draws me to these games. Like Shenmue and Yakuza, this game appeals to me. It has a story that is interesting and a protagonist with a well written backstory. His inner turmoil makes him seem more human. 3 hours in is just not enough. It's a fantastic open world with so much to see and do. I've only scratched the surface and know there is hours of fun ahead of me. I want to do them all next year, including all of Shenmue and this. I have found them all of interest so far in what I have played and look forward to the next game in 2020. After all the hassle with the lead actor and the cocaine, I was unsure of this game's release in the West. Sega decided it would be for the best for the protagonist's voiceover to be re-recorded by another actor. It could be the reason for a lack of the karaoke minigame. Thankfully, this game was released in the West and it's a fantastic game. I'm hopeful of a sequel, and I do not just mean to the Yakuza franchise, but to this game. There is some amazing characters and they all have stories to tell. Yagami is a great protagonist and certainly his story is interesting. It is good to see the characters are so well fleshed out. With most of the series out now, only 5 left to go, releasing early next year. It is going to be great to be able to play all of these games through, and I know I'm a stuck record, but can we please have Dead Souls as well? So Judgement, a private detective story, this most definitely is.
返すのは馬でもっと増やしてからだ。それまで待っとけや。
本気で言ってんのか。よくそんなずうずうしいほど。
また今度だ。
なんでそんなもん。
If you are hearing this, you made it all the way to the end of the video. Thank you very much for your support. Give it a thumbs up and comment if you enjoyed the video. Please share as it helps the channel grow and improve. Enjoy your day one and all. Old School Gamer 1971 signing off.